Welcome back to Kansas City. Today we're going to talk about something, well, if you've been paying attention, that I absolutely enjoy, and that is how to use surpluses from previous plan years to do incredible things for the members, build reserves for the future, effectively the deep benefits of self-funding in a level-funded environment. We're going to go through some of these terms so you are more professional and understand a bit more of the regulations that sit around this part of our industry. Number one thing is, what is the primary benefit of using surpluses to build reserves for the future? The first question is, how reserves, Tom, a surplus? What are you talking about? Well, in level-funded, self-funded plans, they all have claims accounts, and these are pre-funded throughout the plan year, whether you use the money or not. This is what makes it a level-funded piece, is that it keeps it balanced. So what happens if you have a great year? What happens if you have let's just pick numbers here, $100,000 that drops into the claims account and no claims? Well, with self-funding or level funding, that with carriers or players or TPAs that maintain that that is not their money, that business owner or that plan owner is going to have $100,000 at the end of runout. That's their money. Now, what do they do with it? Folks, that is the deep benefit that we're going to talk about today. So with that surplus, what can they do? Well, there's a number of things that they can do. Generally, there's about 4. We're going to talk about each one and the benefits of it. The first thing that they can do is they can hold that cash for future needs. As people get older, they incur more and more claims. It's just the nature of the human body. So with that, if they have that $100,000 surplus from one year, they hold it against the next year. Now, there's limits to this, and I believe the limit is somewhere around 185% of expected claims can be held in reserve. So let's say you have $0 in claims the first year, and the second year you have $0 in claims again. You now have too much money in your reserve account. You need to spend this on current benefits. Gotcha. So you've put your reserves aside, so as your group ages, you now are able to normalize the cost for your population, your employees, your team over multiple years. The number 2 thing that you can do is you can take that money and give your employees a bit of a premium holiday, or a month where they don't have to pay a nickel to their health coverage cost. Now, the money that's inside of those claims accounts has already hit the benefit trust agreement, or is contributory in almost all situations, so that money should not be recouped by the business owner as profit. This has to be spent on his team, on their people, to enrich their benefits. So one way to do that, and this is way 2, is to say, Sally, Sue, John, this month you don't owe a nickel for your health coverage. It's a holiday. That additional money goes onto their paycheck. They get it. They can do whatever they want with it. But because they were prudent, they don't have to pay again because the reserves are already there. Another beautiful thing that some employers do, or some plan owners do, is they take those surpluses and they invest in wellness programs. Now, the return on wellness programs is nebulous at best. But if you have a multi-year time horizon, it starts to prove out. So if you have extra monies from your surpluses and you start giving all your employees access to, like in our building here in Kansas City, there's actually a yoga studio on the first floor. If we did, hey guys, everybody can go do yoga downstairs as a wellness benefit, clear your heads, feel better. So as a wellness benefit, it does a couple of things for your team. One, it gives them something that no other employer is going to do. So it's something else for them to be proud of at the company that they work with every day, that they're fighting to take care of the employee's health. Secondarily, it probably does reduce their stress. I'm not a full-throated endorser of yoga, but after you do a bit of physical activity, you are a little better off. So it's something else that you can do with those reserve funds, as long as it's for employee welfare and as long as everybody's treated the same. Now with this, a lot of business owners ask, hey, can I just pay my stop loss premium with this surplus? No. That money has hit the benefit trust agreement, and as such, it's contributory. The stop loss coverage is for the business owner. So if you're taking a business owner expense and putting it on your employees, you're probably in violation of a couple regulations. So with that, you can take the surplus and apply it to the current plan year's claims account, and that's completely fine. But taking it and playing against the premium, unless you're paying 100% as a plan owner, I don't see as exactly correct. Why is it important? What does a TPA and MGU do to help you predict your claims? Well, during the underwriting process, a good MGU will highlight where you think the expenses will be. Now, before you ask, what is an MGU? It's a managing general underwriter. Effectively, they're the pricers of the risk. They come in and they say, this group of people in this situation at this PPO and this area factor are going to cost this much a month. That's what their job is. They're predictors of the future. Some of them are great, some of them are terrible. I think we do a pretty good job. We're not always accurate, but we're right a whole heck of a lot more than we're wrong. Now with that, you can start to play with different benefit packages, and a good TPA and MGU will work together to drive down the cost to give the plan owner the most efficient structure that they can play with. How can brokers kind of highlight the deep value of surplus utilization through their business? Well, it's quite simple. If you're sitting down with your business owner and you ask them a question, hey, do you think you're going to be open for the next decade? If their answer is yes, then you say, well, we're going to treat your insurance program like that's the case. We're going to build for deep value. As Warren Buffett says, great business owners treat their companies like it's the only asset they'll ever own. It's the only asset their family will ever own for the next 100 years. So we're going to do this in a deep way. We're not going to look for short-term solutions. We're going to build long-term programs that benefit our team and ourselves, not just today, but for years to come. So when you think about surpluses, a little bit of a discount today at the expense of the future is a tomorrow in which you hate yourself. If you play it the other way, if you go the mature way, it's a tomorrow in which you say, man, that guy was great. That guy's you. He's just you now. So do you want to be happy now or happy later? You got to pick. With that planning, there's a couple of options that come around. One is RBP. If you want to go with the most affordable way to go, RBP in certain situations or reference-based pricing is a great way to drive down cost. But it's also bumpy because employers are paying 50% in general, 50% more to the hospital than the hospital takes as paid in full. But the hospital's saying, I want 4 times as much. I want more. Well, just like everything in life, one party wants more and one party wants to give less. So finding that middle, finding what is agreed upon as market-based fare, RBP flips the game. And it's one way to do that. And if you build reserves, when negotiations go sideways, you can use those monies to settle up the very hard-headed providers that will not come down to a, quote, reasonable reimbursement. Now, reasonable is a different number to everybody. Additionally, when we're talking about the MGU and the TPA, direct contracting may also make a lot of sense. If you have claims history and everybody's going to one hospital, but you're paying for a broad PPO, why not contact directly with that one hospital and say, all right, Bob, Sally, Sue, we're all in Poughkeepsie. We all have to go to Poughkeepsie Regional. At that point, you have one contract, you have a tighter network, you have lower reimbursement rates. It's more affordable. And what did they really give up? Not much. If you have a great MGU and great TPA that understands where the money is going. Finally, we're going to talk about the transition from fully insured to level funding or self-funding in the small group space and why it's so beneficial. Well, folks, the biggest thing is it changes the incentives. If you change the incentives, you change the outcomes. The incentives that change are twofold. One, self-funding says this is insurance in the truest sense of the term. Because of this, the cost of the group are reflected in the cost of the plan. And number two, if we're wrong in self-funding and we put too much money in the surplus account or too much money in the claims account, that's a surplus all back to the plan. They now win when they do not spend much money. It frankly incentivizes prudence. Fully insured incentivizes the obfuscation of responsibility. That's a big word for saying, don't think about it, just pay. Whereas self-funded says, no, this is my money. These are the people I work with on a day-to-day basis. And if we reduce the amount of money that we spend on care, everybody benefits. Now, it's incumbent on the broker to coach and communicate that with every member of the team. If they have an opportunity to take a generic instead of a name brand drug, and it may sound like a small thing, but the difference can be tens of thousands of dollars over a year. If it doesn't cost them any money, they don't care. But if it changes the way in which their renewals look, if that's communicated to them, then they do. When it's their money, people care more, frankly. Now, we already have it being their body, their health, so they already care a lot. But if you can coach the fact that this is also their money, they're going to care over time. And that's where self-funding and level funding wins. It bends the cost curve down, not because it's some secret sauce, but because people respond to incentives. So as we build better and better level funded and self-funded plans, it is very, very important for brokers not to say, hey, it's just like fully insured. No, Bob, it's not. And if we lose that communication, we lose the deep value. And frankly, we don't want to be in business for 1 year. We don't want to be in business for 5 years. We want to be in business for generations. So we need to communicate that self-funding and level funding change the paradigm. And they do it on the individual basis. So get out there, have some fun. These are some terms that should be beautiful for you, because as you get those surpluses back to your clients, they are referral engines. So not only are you doing what's right for the plan year over year, you're also building a business that gets better. It's anti-fragile. It gets better with every year that goes by.